Welcome to Our Own Voice, a partnership in mental health awareness in cooperation with NAMI Wichita and Kaycy Community Radio. NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. We are the largest grassroots advocacy network for people with mental illness and their family members, with over 800 national affiliates and 15 Kansas affiliates, with NAMI Wichita being one of those 15. We provide awareness, support, education, and advocacy for people affected by mental illness. Our purpose here is to provide a community conversation on Kaycy Radio that provides insight into what it's like to live with a mental illness. Our intention and hope is that our program will change attitudes, assumptions, stereotypes about people with mental health conditions. My name is David Larson. I am very pleased and proud to be your host today, and I am a person living with mental illness. I'm in recovery for major depressive disorder. Like everyone, I struggle with the ups and downs of emotions and the challenges of being fully human, but I am doing great, and I know I have many gifts to offer my family, my friends, and my community. And it is my pleasure to introduce our guest for today, Kaycy. Hello, Kaycy.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing good. Well, let's talk about your growing up. Where did you grow up? What high school did you graduate from? All those wonderful things.
So I was born in Joplin, Missouri, and then we ended up moving to Kansas. I have family here. We moved to Peabody. That's where I spent most of my childhood. I graduated from Peabody Burns High School.
Warriors.
Yes, Peabody Warriors. Okay.
Yes.
David just knew that instinctively, folks. Actually, he told me later or earlier on that he had asked her ahead of time, so
Yes.
I thought he knew it instinctively. So, go ahead.
Yes, it was a very small high school. I think I graduated. Our graduation had 15 in our class. So
Really?
Wow.
yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So you could have been in the top 10 and not necessarily in the top 10%.
That's true. Yes.
I did that math in my head just now.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
The other thing is she could have known everybody by their first name
That's true.
and also known their middle name.
Yes.
And their parents.
And their parents. Yeah.
Well, so you grew up in Peabody. You graduated from high school.
Yes.
And then where did you hightail it off to for college, for further education?
So then I spent a little time working after high school and attended Hutchinson Community College for general education. And then I ended up moving to Hayes and attended Fort Hays State.
Okay. And
Yes.
what kind of a degree did you get?
So I had started off studying criminal justice, and then I slowly had switched to psychology. So I'm still in school. I have not finished my degree yet.
Okay. Well, boy, that's a switch, though, from criminal justice to
Yes.
psychology.
Yes.
So
I don't think it's much of a leap of faith.
Well, but it is a change. So
Well, it is.
So what brought about that change?
We had, in some of my, I don't remember which class it was, but we were studying just different cases, and I was looking into these cases and looking into, their past history of these people that had committed these crimes, and looking into, I really just started looking into the mental illness aspect of it, and then that's where I kind of sparked that interest with psychology. And,
Okay, fair enough. Well, so now can I share that you have a child?
Yes.
And you want to give a shout out to your child and to your husband?
Yes, my husband's name's Braden. He's so supportive, and we have a 2-year-old daughter named Bexley.
Okay. Well, hopefully Baxley and Braden, when you are listening to this, you get to say, "Hey, that's Mommy!" All right? So run and give her a big hug when you do. So there. Let's see, what else can we talk about? Do you have any pets?
We have 2 dogs. One of our, Jake and Sissy are their names.
Okay. So you're a dog lover.
We are, yes. We are
Awesome.
dog people. We also have horses.
Oh,
so,
wow.
yes.
You have a lot.
Yes.
That's great. Are you a
Keeps
big
us
horse
busy.
rider?
I'm not. Horses are big animals, and I'd
So-
rather prefer to just stay on the ground.
I take it you don't live in an apartment?
We don't live in an apartment.
She doesn't
Yes,
live
pretty
in.
small.
That was my deductive reasoning.
That was excellent on your part.
She commutes a long way every day.
Yes.
Yes.
From
An
Peabody?
hour drive from Marion, actually.
Oh, Marion, right.
Wow. And how long of a drive is that?
It's an hour.
Yeah.
An hour.
Yes.
Wow. Wow. I don't know if I could do that or not. That would be a lot.
Well, the worst part is that she has to ride the horse.
It'd get pretty cold.
Yeah, it would. It would, definitely. Well, so, boy, where am I at?
So what do you do here in Wichita?
So
Thank you.
I'm a case manager. So I work with individuals with mental illness and then also substance use disorders.
Okay.
What organization are you with?
I work with Comcare of Sedgwick
Comcare.
County.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're going to talk more about Comcare in our next section. But right now, I want to take a brief moment to say thank you to our production team, David Peterson, our executive producer. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
And thank you, Mike Padilla, for being our technical producer.
You're
And
very welcome.
all around great guy.
And the only reason that you say that is because you understand that if you don't say nice things about me, they will never hear your voice again.
This is true. And with that, we will see you in the next section for our own voice. Welcome back to Our Own Voice, a partnership in mental health awareness in cooperation with NAMI Wichita and Kaycy Community Radio. NAMI is a national alliance on mental illness. Our Own Voice is intended to humanize the misunderstood, highly stigmatized topic of mental illness by showing that it's possible and common to live well with a mental health condition. So, Kaycy, before our break, you mentioned that you work at Comcare.
Yes.
And so what programs does Comcare have for those people who are dealing with mental health issues?
So the office I work out of is Comcare, the Adult Services. It was formerly known as Community Support Services. We also have a children's office. We have our Center City, which does most of the homeless outreach. We also have our crisis center. So.
Okay, and you mentioned homeless just now. You recently did the homeless count, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
So why is knowing the number of homeless people important?
So the homeless count, it actually helps with, we do the homeless count to gather information. That's where a lot of our grant and kind of funding comes from. But we serve we serve a lot of homeless people.
Okay.
So.
All right. And do you happen to know how many you serve by any chance? Or is that putting you too hard on the spot?
I couldn't say for sure or even a roundabout number of how many we do serve.
Can we just say bunches?
Yeah,
How many-
probably.
Yes.
Bunches.
How many are on
bunches.
your caseload?
So I have a caseload of 28 right now, and over 50% of my caseload are homeless.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Oh, wow.
So if we look at that, how many case managers are there throughout?
Oh, gosh. Well, on my team, we have 4 of us, and there are 3 different teams at Adult Services, and then there's also the Center City team. So I would say we have about roughly 30, a little
Okay.
under as far as case managers go.
So folks, if you want to do the math in your head, it's 30 times 14, so something about that. Yeah,
But that's just an estimate.
that's
Yeah.
just an
That's
estimate,
an
yeah.
estimate, yes.
Kaycy, what services do you offer the homeless?
Yes, that's a good question.
So we do, and I do a lot of, with my clients, of course, housing. I mean, that's one of the biggest issues, but also getting them into utilizing the community resources that we do have, utilizing Breakthrough Club or Crossover, things like that, and then getting them in to see, a medication provider, not only like through Comcare, but primary care also, in just assisting them with getting those needs met.
Yes, and
Fantastic.
just a little shout out to my medication provider. Thank you. I really appreciate you. So what are What are some of the different mental illnesses that you have to face and struggle with the different cases that you experience?
So I have quite a few clients that have that are diagnosed with schizophrenia or schizoaffective disorder. I see quite a
And I'm going to stop you right there. Can you explain the difference between schizoaffective and schizophrenia?
from my understanding, which schizoaffective disorder is when you do have schizophrenia, but you also have some sort of personality disorder that kind of goes in with that.
Okay, so it's sort of compounded then with the personality disorder or a mood disorder?
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
All right, so go ahead. What were you saying now? Or did I stop you too soon in your brain?
Now
I
she's
think I
totally
can find it.
confused.
Yeah,
We were asking her about the different
different
diagnoses.
Yes.
cases. Yeah.
I see quite a bit of just like major depressive disorder, just generalized anxiety disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder. I see that quite often too. And then I also see a lot of, severe alcohol use disorder, severe
So
cocaine.
substance abuse.
Yes.
Which
all the different substance
You were telling
uses.
us during the break you also deal with dual diagnosis.
Yes.
And let's share what that means to our listeners.
Yes. So dual diagnosis, the team that I'm on and what I kind of deal with is it's mental illness, but then you also have a substance use disorder too.
Right. Which doesn't necessarily mean that you have two different mental illnesses. It means mental illness and substance use.
And substance abuse.
Yes.
Yes.
And that substance abuse can be alcohol, can be recreational drugs, can be any number of things.
Yes.
So,
that's correct.
yeah. So what other, what are some of the ways that you give coping skills to the people?
Gosh, coping skills. So I see what they've used in the past and what they're using now and what has worked and what hasn't worked. And so I kind of meet them where they're at. We talk about, and I think it's really important to practice those coping skills together.
Excellent idea. Yes. I know for me, some of my coping skills, I have to remember every morning to start working through my head as to what they are, what they do, how they help, and yeah.
And when to use those. And yes.
Excellent. Well, well, I want to say that this is Our Own Voice on Kaycy Community Radio, and we are talking with Kaycy about mental illness, and we are going to take a quick break, and we will be right back.
If you would like to learn more about the National Alliance on Mental Illness and how you can get involved in mental health advocacy, please visit our website at NAMI.org.
Welcome back to Our Own Voice, a partnership in mental health awareness in cooperation with NAMI Wichita and Kaycy Community Radio. NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Now, Kaycy, at the break, I mentioned to you I wanted to bring up a topic that is rather important to NAMI that we are trying to do. We are trying to bust stigma.
Yes.
And so how, in what ways do you encounter stigma in your work and the stigma of mental illness?
Well, I encounter it, I think, almost, on a daily basis here at work because there is such a stigma and it's huge and it almost, people feel like they can't go and they can't get help or they can't, talk to anybody or they feel ashamed or they feel guilt for having a mental illness or they feel, that their people won't accept them. And I just try to remind them that it's okay to not be okay. And just like with any other disease or sickness or illness is, you go, just like if somebody breaks their arm, they go to the hospital and they get, that fixed. And so someone with mental illness, I think it's important for them to know that it's okay to not be okay and it's okay to ask for help.
I want to repeat that. It's okay to not be okay. I like that.
And it's okay to ask for help.
Yes,
Yes.
it's okay to ask for help. Yeah, one thing I don't know why it is within our own American culture and our own mindset, we have this idea that we've got to pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps, and you gotta understand that sometimes you can't do that. Especially when it comes to mental illness and mental health conditions, you have to get help from other people, and there are people out there who are willing to help.
Yes.
And speaking of which, David, I'm going to ask you to give us a phone number right now that we will talk about in our next section.
That'll be
So
fantastic.
give us that phone number.
It's 316-686-1373.
And what does that number do?
That will get you into the NAMI voicemail, and we will return the call as soon as possible.
And get you connected with things happening with NAMI.
There you go.
What other things can you tell us about stigma? How are you combating stigma in the work that you do?
I kind of combat it. Well, I talk, one-on-one with my clients about the stigma with mental illness, and I encourage them and I remind them, like we had said before, that it's okay to not be okay. And then I try to be just like that influence, outside of work too, reminding people that we do need to create, the end of the stigma with mental illness, and again, that it's okay to not be okay and it's okay to ask for help.
Excellent words. Thank you so much. It's so easy for us to get caught up in culture and society where they are constantly condemning and demeaning and telling bad off-color jokes about mental illness and mental health conditions. And, it's time that we've got to say stop. Stigma is wrong, and we've got to rise above that. So,
Yes.
Well, I think we have made progress, though.
I
Because
think we have, yes.
Remember back in the day, we used to just say that they were witches, and
Yeah.
and maybe burn them at the stake and
Yeah.
whatever, because
Exactly.
we couldn't explain their behavior.
Yeah.
We have made progress, but we have a long ways to go.
You got a
Yeah.
long way to go.
Yes, very true. Well, I'm going to jump ahead to what I was going to talk about in our next segment. How did you discover NAMI?
So I had first heard of NAMI actually when I came to Comcare and I first started here, because there are the support groups with NAMI. And so I started referring some of the people I work with to these support groups and encouraging them to go.
Excellent. All right. And now I'm going to toot your horn right now. Are you ready for this? You received an award from NAMI this past winter, this past December.
I did.
What was the award?
So I received the NAMI's Case Manager of the Year award for 2018, and I was very humbled by that. After I talked with David and, I'd received this award, I really looked back and I was just like, I really have to thank each of the clients and their families that I work with, because without those experiences, I don't think it would have molded me, into the case manager I am now.
Okay. Well, that's pretty awesome that you see that.
Yes.
I've got a question. What does Comcare offer as far as somebody listening can they just call or walk in, or?
Yes, so we do have Comcare Crisis. We have, and Comcare Crisis is, you can call, you can come in, you can walk in if you're needing services, or if you just need someone to talk to and work through something you may have going on, you can call.
Excellent. Yeah, and I'm going to proclaim that Comcare is wonderful. They have been wonderful for me. So I think you can't go wrong. Comcare is great. Comcare is fantastic. So. And when you get to experience people like Kaycy, who are wonderful and fantastic, then you will understand. So there. I do want to note that this is Our Own Voice on Kaycy Community Radio, and we are going to take a quick break, and we will be right back. Welcome back to Our Own Voice, a partnership in mental health awareness in cooperation with NAMI Wichita and Kaycy Community Radio. NAMI is a National Alliance on Mental Illness. Now, David, before the break, in our previous section, I asked you for that number. So can you give us that number again and tell the people, the listeners, what they will get from that number?
Yes, but first I got two comments. That beautiful intro music you hear was composed by our host, David Larson.
Thank you.
And
Thank you very
It's
much.
very, very appropriate. And also on Kaycy, I've had contact with many caseworkers over the years, and one thing that people can't do them if somebody in their family has a mental illness, most times they cannot do it alone. And caseworkers like Kaycy can be so valuable in getting things done.
Yes.
And
Excellent.
Thank you.
please call 686-1373 or
Yes.
686-1373.
And the area code for that is obviously 316.
And we'll return your call as soon as possible. That's the answering service. But we have so many NAMI programs that we feel could help benefit you and help you in support, whether you're the person with a mental illness or if you have a loved one that has a mental illness. We can help you in both of those instances. And we have a brochure that we'd be happy to mail out to you that gives that all in detail.
Yeah. Some of the issues or some of the things that happen with NAMI is we have education programs.
Support programs.
We have support on the third Tuesday of the month.
Right.
We have another support program on the fourth Tuesday of the month.
And we also bring in a psychiatrist, a resident psychiatrist on the third Tuesday to answer questions.
That's right. So there are lots of options available, but as Mike has said before, you need to pick up the phone and call. Mm-hmm. That is what is important. Calling and, I do want to underscore that all of the programs that NAMI does, they are absolutely free of charge, no cost. We want to help out people, so that's what we do. So, Kaycy, I'm going to come back to you now.
And don't forget, Kaycy is the case manager of the year, as so proclaimed by NAMI of Wichita, right?
That's right.
Okay.
So, Kaycy, what are some of the things that you can share with us? We were talking about the break, or during the break, about suicide. Mm-hmm. What can you share with us about that?
So just a couple of things that I would like to share is that anyone can get assistance from a trained professional 24 hours a day, 7 days per week. And we have the National Suicide Prevention Talk Line that you can call. And that phone number is 1-800-273-8255.
Can you give that number again?
Yes, it is 1-800-273-8255.
Okay.
And then there's also the Comcare Community Crisis Center, and that's located at 635 North Main here in Wichita. And that phone number is 316-660-7500.
Excellent. One more time for that number.
Yes, 316-660-7500.
Wonderful. And now, Mike, you asked a question, and I didn't have a chance to look up the information as to whether or not suicides are on the rise or not.
But we did discuss, what were you saying about?
Wichita.
Yeah, Wichita.
Wichita,
in general.
yeah.
Yes, so I had taken a training just a couple of months ago, and it was over suicide, and I actually learned that there's a suicide here in Wichita there's one in every 4 days.
Wow.
So,
That's how it averages out that way.
yes,
Right.
yes.
Wow.
And then what were you saying about the veterans that you know about? The current.
The current situation with veterans, there's 12 veterans every 24 hours that
Yeah.
take
Wow.
their lives.
So that's like
That
one
is-
every 2 hours.
Yeah.
Somebody
That is-
somewhere.
that is tremendous,
that's a
folks.
veteran is.
Yes.
Folks, life is good.
valuable.
Yes, it's valuable, and your life is valuable if you hear this message.
And how many times have you heard somebody say, well, we had no idea. We had no idea that he was that close to
Yeah.
doing that to himself, or she was close to doing that. If you have any hint at all, pick up the phone and call yourself, or if you know somebody, make the effort.
Yes,
Yes.
I want to underscore you can call on behalf of someone to those crisis
Right.
lines as well, and get help yourself as to how to get them in help, how to get them into care and nurture. We need to understand that this is a problem that we all need to face. So, well, Kaycy, I want to thank you so much for being here. And you are definitely the case manager of the year in
Thank
my
you.
books, along with Nami's books. I want to thank David for his part in this, because he is the one who got you connected with us so that we could do this radio program. And Mike, I'm going to thank you again for being the technical producer and getting us going. So,
No. Thank you.
well, wonderful. Thank you all. I want to note this has been Our Own Voice on Kaycy Community Radio. We've been talking with Kaycy about mental illness, and join us for our next Our Own Voice program.